Welcome back, everybody, to the JSS podcast. This is your casual executive, your resident finance bro. I know people don't like me saying that, but I get a kick out of it, so why not? Today's episode, we're going to talk a little bit about the boogeyman. We're going to be talking about that two-letter institution out there that everybody keeps saying and keeps getting scared of. Today's episode, we're going to tackle AI, artificial intelligence. Um, and I know you can't escape it. Everything you do, every place we go and we talk, everybody's got an opinion, everybody's got something to say, which is very interesting to me because I think it's a tool that we've been almost using for a long time without even knowing. A lot of the apps and a lot of the websites we go to have been using them for years. So it's not as scary as people think. I've even had people tell me, "Oh, I don't want the AI on my phone." They're like, "But I want to do this," and I'm like, "Okay, well, that's AI." So I think it's funny. But today, what I want to talk about is obviously, some of the recent updates and things that have come into play. But mainly, I want to touch on how to utilize AI and some of the tools and resources out there to benefit you. I mean, I think it's something that's not going away. It's something not to be scared of, and something that I think we can definitely take advantage of and use to our benefit, right? And in real estate and finance and lots of stuff, lots of things, it's becoming commonplace, and it's becoming something that if you're not getting on the train, if you're not taking advantage of some of the tools and resources that are available, you're going to get left behind. So I think it's important to get in front of it, not be afraid. Download some of the apps, play around with it. Just get some experience with it because it does help. And today I want to, we'll get into some very niche styles of using some AI and some tools and that I think are. I mean, I'll tell you guys this much. Here in our office, we use AI probably every day. We use ChatGPT. We're using, Microsoft Copilot. We're using a couple of the different tools in some really interesting ways. And we'll kind of get into that part of it, right? I mean, it's some of the things. If you're a business owner, if you're not using AI to kind of help with your marketing, to help it develop your marketing strategies, social media stuff, you're definitely behind the eight ball. We're using it constantly to write copy for some of our marketing stuff, some of our posts. It's helped us develop some social media strategy. One of the reasons why we're doing a podcast is because ChatGPT told me to, which I know is funny, but it's something it's creating content and it's creating a voice and it's putting you out there in a way that we hadn't really done before. But yeah, that's really how we do now. I mean, I get into it, even deeper, have it help me pre-read some contracts. It's one of the cool tools that I think built into like the Microsoft Copilot or even in the Adobe suite, the PDF files that everybody gets. We have a paid subscription for that, but within the Adobe suite, you can upload a contract or paper or anything, and it'll read it and kind of summarize it for you and give you some of the highlights. Which I'm not a lawyer, but as a business owner, we're forced to wear many hats, and one of the hats that I look at is contracts and just different kinds of contracts, which definitely go above my pay grade. But you're having a tool where it's been able to at least help me isolate some of the deal points that I'm looking for, to highlight those options so that I know when I'm approaching or when I'm reading through, those are the parts that I want to focus on a little bit more. And by no means am I saying utilize that only and don't read the contracts, because I still do. But it's just a tool that I'm using to better educate myself but it give me some summary or explain some stuff, because you can go in and say, break that down and explain that to me, and it will. ChatGPT is great for some of that stuff. We're doing that with some of the contracts. We're even having it write. Sometimes, I've been writing approval letters for this or that forever. And I just put my existing approval letter in there, and I said, help me create a new version of this. And, and he reworded some stuff, made it look nicer. So that's some of this. I needed help with, don't want to get bore people, but like non-circumvents and non-compete clauses into some of the contracts that we already do. So I had to write me a couple blurbs, and I went with it and tweaked it a little bit. But I thought that was so cool to be able to have those tools at our disposal. Um, but within the real estate and personal finance space, there's some great tools available. Again, going through Chat GPT, and I mean that may be one of the easy ones that everybody talks about. But there's some tools out there. There's a website called Clio, Monarch Money. Um, those are tools that help you with personal budgeting. You can go download those apps, put in your budgets, helps you create a budget, it helps you approach it. And sometimes and I know people say, oh, it's a budget. I know, what I make, and I know what I spend. But being able to categorize everything, put it into the data fields where these AI tools are then you can use, they have tools in there about, how do I, pay off my debt faster? And it helps you shift, and it tells you which ones to pay off because of the interest rates or the terms, and what's going to be a better approach at paying something off sooner. I mean, those are great tools, right? That sometimes, can we maybe do it ourselves? Yeah, probably. Maybe not. There's some people's brains work that way and some people's don't. But within that, personal budgeting, there's a ton of apps. There's a ton of tools that you can use, that helps. One of the ones that I use really on a daily basis, and this is, it may not seem like like an AI thing, but I use Microsoft OneNote on my iPad. It's kind of set up on my side of my computer, and that's kind of where I'm jotting down notes and doing things. But there's also, it has AI capabilities in there, tools where it can summarize, different notes that I've taken over the week or the month, and to help it create tasks, help it keep me organized. As in, oh, I got to send, the reminder for these emails. And I think that you can use that for anything. I mean, for any industry, any job. You don't have to be in sales. You don't have to, be a business owner. You have to do real estate. That's a great tool that I think you can use in your everyday life. One of the tools that I haven't gotten to yet, just because I think it takes a little bit of time, and sometimes I can be stubborn. Um, but I know that there's within Microsoft Outlook or Gmail, if you use Gmail, there's some apps in there that will go through and read all your emails every morning before you get your day started, and it will summarize, and it'll help you prioritize which tasks are more important, which tasks you should be focused on. A funny story. One of the things that I remember, an old boss of mine when I was in the banks would tell me, because our day, as I was one of the leaders there, and was leading the sales operations there for the bank. Um, and our day would sometimes get overwhelmed and just consumed with answering emails all day. That's all we did, and then, I remember he sat me down one day, and he's like, look, he goes, we don't pay you to be good at email, because we're paying you to be a good sales leader, to teach, to inspire, to lead, to do all these things, not your emails. And I just thought, and it hit me hard. I was like, wow, you know what? Sometimes you think that, oh, my job is just responding to emails, because that's how it feels. But really, the tasks within the emails is what you're getting paid for. So if you had a tool, in the AI space that was able to help you clear out a lot of that trash, it definitely helps. What else do we have? I mean, I took some notes down because I wanted to make sure that, I, was able to help out. But even, focus a little bit on the real estate space. Chat GPT just had a great partnership and announcement that they have. And now they incorporated Zillow into Chat GPT. So now you can go into the search engine and use it as a search engine and say, find me a property in, Hollywood, California for 3 bedrooms, 2 baths in this price range, that I can, it'll go out and find it. It's using Zillow. So do I necessarily think that that's the best data? At times, it's there's some positive and negatives that I think, where, maybe it's focused on a little bit of their data heavier. obviously, but still, right? It still gives you a great edge. Within that space too in real estate. We're going through some prompts and kind of in preparation for the podcast today. I was looking at some prompts and it says, you know, sometimes as real estate investors, we have a feeling about a neighborhood. There's a vibe, and oh, I love this neighborhood. But really, is there data to support that? If you're choosing between two properties that maybe in two different neighborhoods, and you think, oh, I like this, but I don't like that, or whatever the case is, it helps you make a decision. So you can say, between these two neighborhoods, give me stats, give me forecasts about property valuations, rental markets, what have you, whatever it is, and it scours the internets and all of the world wide web. Honestly don't know where it gets this all their information, but nevertheless, it gives you some information to help you make those more informed decisions. With Zillow and neighborhood analysis, and it really does help narrow some things out. So I mean, those are tools that as investors we should be using. As real estate agents, you should be definitely using. I mean, that's if our clients are using those tools, we should be experts at it. We should say, oh, look, according to this, I was able to find the school districts, find out the per capita of it. It makes you sound so much more prepared, so much more well informed, and your neighborhoods, your market. That's one of the things that I've always taught. In the sales side, is knowing your market. You should know everything about those neighborhoods. What's the trends? Are the prices increasing? Are the prices decreasing? And that's the cool thing about these tools. You can get so granular in neighborhoods and resident, all communities and different things that it really helps. Now, another one that's a little controversial, at least for me in my space, and the only reason I say that it's because it's competition with lending. You can go in there and say, find me a lender that will offer this type of loan, and it'll go out and find it for you. I used it this morning actually. I'm looking to place a deal, and it's a very unique type situation. It's a unique part of the country where some of my investors don't like to lend in. And I was like, you know what, I need some resources, and I just plugged it into ChatGPT and I said, look, I'm looking for somebody to do this type of unique trying, and it gave me 6 referrals. I'm not sure if anything's going to work out, but it gave me some information that how would I have found them? I don't know. Right. So within lending, within finance, within banking, most big banks, will use Plaid, will use, Oculus. There's different plugins that they're using now in your banking portals, not to be afraid of, right? Because those are using, I think Rocket Money has one where, it goes through and it's plugged into your bank. So you don't even have to give it information. All you have to do is grant it access. And yeah, I mean, I know some people feel a certain way about that. And look, at the end of the day, these are all secure companies, and can they have data breaches? Yeah, but so can everybody, right? So I think we got to be as careful as possible, but not to the point where you're not utilizing some of these tools. Where I've seen like Rocket Money, or there's a couple other ones out there that do something similar, where they plug in to your banking app and they're looking at your transactions. It's taking all the data of your spending history and your spending habits, and it's creating budgets, and it's creating alerts and rules, and it's telling you, hey, your entertainment budget, your food budget is, you're going out of it this month, or you're forgetting these bills. Sometimes, look, I'm so guilty of that. I'm a crazy spreadsheet guy, and I like to have everything written down. But sometimes with business and sometimes with daily life, things come up, and you're like, oh my God, I forgot to pay the cable bill or whatever bill, right? Well, these apps will help you analyze that, and we'll spit out reminders. Oh, look, you got this coming up. How about paying this first and wait till your next paycheck, because it knows when you get paid, And I know it's a little scary, but it's all stuff that if you're using it to your advantage, you can definitely benefit from it. Right? I mean, there's investment vehicles out there that you can use to help you analyze. One of the things, like for our fund, we have a PPM, which is a private placement memorandum that our attorneys put together. It's 150 pages long, right? You can dump it in there and help it, all right, what are my deal points? What are my, how can I, when can I expect my returns? And yeah, or you can ask me and I can share that with you, but you can also do it on yourself by yourself and work through some of that. Um, I'm trying to think like what else is there? I mean, there is so many tools for with this boogeyman that everybody keeps, everybody's afraid of. Doing market analysis. Again, as realtors and loan officers, helping you create a market strategy, helping you create social media strategy, and it. I mean, it gets to the point where, we did it and we were playing around with it here in the office, and we said, help us create a social media strategy. It gave us a 5-week plan. It tells you what to post, when to post, it tells you these are the verbiage you should use. This is the picture you should use. It's so amazing in that aspect of it. We have one tool that we have plugged in that auto posts for us. It creates videos and different posts based off of our market and different highlights that we gave it. I have a great marketing person here in my office that I love, not only because he's my son, but he's also super talented. That he helps navigate a lot of these tools, and he's constantly fidgeting with it, and just, oh, let's tweak this word and code word here, and let's see where else it can do. And it creates content for us automatically, videos. It's creating posts. Out of sight, out of mind. Yeah, he's overseeing it because it's important to know what we're posting and what's happening out there. But it's a great tool. Just costs us a couple bucks a month. So the point of this is don't be afraid. I think there is a lot of I don't know how to say it, but there's the way the market is and people talk, oh, be afraid of AI is taking over the world, and there's this and there's that. The reality is it's a tool. It's a tool that I still remember, and I'm not that old, but I still remember when, when one of the first banks I worked at, we weren't using computers, we were using terminals. The difference is, you didn't have internet. You didn't have, it was DOS based, and, you punched in a command and you got to a screen and you were able to get information that you needed. You typed in the command to execute something else, and then, computers came in, and I remember that transition, and, a lot of people were, oh my God, these computers are going to take my job. Didn't take anybody's job. It's just gave us something else that we needed to learn on how to use and how to execute. And maybe there was more tasks that were added to our job, but that's part of life, and we were able to grow. So I think if you use it like that, and you say, I mean, I remember again, one of the banks that I worked at, I was actually on the launch team that launched our. So it was a small bank that launched our online banking platform. And I know that's second nature now, but back then it wasn't. That was not a thing. Nobody had online banking. We were one of the, it was a smaller bank, so it took a little, we're a little bit behind, but we executed that. And I was on a team that we used to test the online banking platform. I think it was 3 or 4 times a day, manually test it. We would log in, click here, click that, request this. I mean, did transfer $5 from one account to the other, and they were all dummy account, but we literally had to do it all because it was such a new tool. I mean, and it was funny. It was not. We didn't have the mobile phones, the smartphones that we can check, go online. So it wasn't then. It was just computer. So I would have to carry my laptop with me everywhere we went, because I was on call 24 hours a day, unless in case our website went down. Not that I knew how to do anything about it, but again, it was just a tool, and everybody thought, oh my God, we're going to lose our jobs because now everybody's just going to go online and check their balance and do this. Nothing. So all that to say is AI is here to stay. It's going to continue. It's going to grow. Use it to your advantage. Download the apps, play around with it, find out how you can use, if your particular job you do, or some of your investing, some of your personal finance and your budgeting. There's a lot of cool tools out there that can be fun if you use them to your advantage. So anyway, that's really all I wanted to talk about today. I know we can get into the weeds and a lot of those things, but again, I just want you guys to know, don't be scared. Use it. It is a cool tool. So thank you guys. See you on the next one.